Hey, everybody, welcome to the Agency Side Podcast. My name is Justin Levinson, and today I'm here with Max Pollack, co founder and managing partner of MAT. Max has spent over a decade shaping the intersection of brand, culture, and experience, leading standout work for brands like Puma, Calvin Klein, Kiss, and Reebok, to name a few. He's also helped produce Netflix's Fire, the greatest party that never happened, and is now driving Matt's next chapter with Hero, an immersive creative space at Rockefeller Center. Thanks so much for being here today, Max.
Thanks for having me, Justin. Pleasure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, to start things off, maybe you can just explain for a novice out there what exactly you guys do at Matt.
So Matt is a creative company based in New York. And we really kind of see ourselves at this, kind of converging point between entertainment and advertising. So we primarily work with brands to kind of build these kind of holistic brand worlds that connect content, experience, all rooted in culture, all kind of, about storytelling and really how do you build connection and fandom instead of traditional advertising? How do you kind of get people excited? How do you kind of get people caring about what you're doing as a company? And then, kind of bringing that to the world and integrated, 360 ideas. We started in music, we started in entertainment and being a promoter and kind of building our own IP. And that kind of, we still do some of that, but we really moved to the primary business being that kind of, service brand agency.
Awesome. And how did you get into this particular space? Like maybe you can give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I would say well, I'll take it all the way back. I was always obsessed with music. I was always obsessed. That's what I was always into. That's what I always wanted to do. I thought I was definitely not going to be a musician per se, but I really loved just that as my kind of passion and love language. And that kind of took shape and form, in high school and college by organizing events, like doing concerts. It was started out as like doing the little after parties for our school plays, which were, high school bangers. I grew up in New York. So it was kind of like Chinatown lofts and weird karate studios and things like that with, Jungle Juice and a DJ. And then as I got into college, doing more legit artists and kind of bringing hip hop and indie music to an electronic to kind of, where I went to school, which was up in New Hampshire. Shouldn't get a lot of that. That that's kind of like was my thing I always loved. And I had no idea what the fuck I wanted to do, but that was what I loved to do. And then I took this course my senior year and it's like, this is kind of, I guess, advocating a little bit for the college experience because it kind of came out of nowhere. It was called design thinking. It was an engineering course. It's taught by this great professor named Professor Roby, Peter Roby, at Dartmouth. It was all about like basically like creative design and design thinking and kind of creative agency 101, which I didn't really understand as an industry, honestly. Like obviously I knew there was advertising in the world, but I didn't know what the creative agency did. And it was really studying like IDEO principles and design principles. And it was just this great project work and super interesting research and just creating things. And I was like, I love this. Like, this is amazing. Like, how is this something I can do? And so I kind of like took that and ended up kind of moving back to New York and doing an internship at an advertising agency, like a small one called Poke. And that was like, I really loved it. And I was like, oh, I like this kind of work, but I'm still passionate about music. And so ended up leaving Poke for a real job in music PR. I was terrible at it. I was an assistant. I got fired within 3 months. I started working at Saks Fifth Avenue selling clothes just to like hustle and do my How to Make It in America impression and kind of like started doing the concert stuff on the side with my business partner, Brett, who's still my business partner. And that just kind of built up authentically. And in the beginning, we always wanted, at least I always wanted to bring together this kind of music stuff and this community building and concerts and experience with, how to bring this kind of design thinking to life and how to kind of work with brands and kind of do more creative kind of design objectives. So kind of started out with those two passions, really music and then this new thing of design thinking and kind of creative project work.
That's cool. I saw you went to school in Dartmouth. I was looking on your LinkedIn page, and I'm actually located in Vermont, so I'm not
Oh,
too
sick.
far from Dartmouth. Very familiar with it. Beautiful, beautiful area. What was your first break? Doing this. Really getting this to be a job. I mean, how did that kind of come to be?
Yeah. So we had done one hip hop party that was like, it was fun, but it was kind of like whatever. And then through the college stuff, This booking agent that I had worked with in college reached out to like, it's like a blast in New York people. I was like, we're doing this French music label Kitsune's club night tour and we're looking for promoters. And I hit up Brett. I was like, yo, this could be great. Like, this is like our kind of thing. It's cool. It's like French. It's like, it's a little fashion adjacent, which was kind of, we were downtown. So that was kind of the vibe. And so we just threw an offer together, like completely randomly. Didn't really think we were going to get the actual show because we were 22, 23 years old. But we got it. And we have had this great venue called Good Units, which used to be underneath the Hudson Hotel. And we just kind of like filmed it. We like brought a sponsor in, like, like Brett had a little more experience and then worked with some brands and doing production stuff. So we kind of collaborated on it and we just put together a great show. The owner of the company came through and he really like had a great time. He said, you guys did a great job. And a week later they called us and said, can you guys basically do this for us across the country? Like we want to bring these club nights all over the world, like all over the US and North America. Can you guys kind of be our liaisons? They paid us like $1,000 a month to do that. Which was, that started us. It was like enough money to be like, oh, we're going to start doing this. I mean, I still sold clothes at Saks Fifth Avenue on the side and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. It was enough to like, oh, we're doing this thing together. And we have this really great brand that is giving us some leeway to do things. And we're able to use that to meet a bunch of people and, do all kinds of work, which was really exciting.
And were you able to do this work with just you and your partner, or did you need other people on board at that point?
That was just us at that time. Yeah, that was just us. Yeah, obviously when we were producing something, I mean, even producing things, we pretty much did everything, but we would, hire people like AV people and stuff like that. But it was very much, yeah, we were doing everything.
That's great. When did it come to a point where you started to build out a team? Because how many people are at Matt currently?
We're like 85.
It's a lot of people. That's
Yeah,
quite
it's
a journey,
decent.
I'm sure, to get there.
Yeah. So that first show was like 2012, 2011 maybe, with Kitsune. And then we started doing that and we were doing that we worked them for like 5 years. Even when we got, more sizable, but, so we started working out of our third business partner, Matt Rowene's loft in like 2013. He had come to some of our shows. We'd started doing like music festivals as well, small scale ones, and he really liked what we were doing. He had like started an agency, which I actually applied to be an intern in when I graduated college. Like, so he had experience, but he left that business and now was just working as an artist. And so we worked with him on one of our festivals art. So he did like the poster art for this festival. It's called Full Moon. And that was the first time we worked together. And then we just started working out of his loft, us kind of doing his thing, us doing our thing. He was kind of starting to think about going into the agency business again in some way. And we kind of like were helping each other, but kind of separately. And like literally like his desk was over here, we were over here, and like we were in the same room. And then this opportunity came in to pitch Singha beer. And we like collaborated on the pitch all together. And we were called Matt at that time, and his company that we kind of were helping him with was called Finish. And so we brought it together with Matt Finish, and that was like us collaborating. And we didn't get that, but then we ended up working with this cider brand that was coming to America, and that was like our first client. And that like led to we needed to hire people to help do that. So that was when we got interns, and then we had some junior full-time people.
Great. And are you guys all based in New York, or do you have people that work outside of the state as well?
We're mostly based in New York. We have some people in LA. LA's a big market, so we have some people there, and we have a little studio actually in Mexico City,
Cool.
which has always been kind of like we've always just been going there forever. So it's a great creative hub.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. So I guess in terms of like getting into a lot of these big projects that I talked about in the introduction, how did sort of everything snowball into more work coming in and landing bigger projects? Was it, just sort of like putting out great work leading to more great work, or were you kind of out there pounding the pavement trying to bring in jobs? How did that sort of that success? Thanks for tuning in, folks. This episode is brought to you by Coming Up Creative, a relationship-first boutique creative recruitment agency.
We disrupt the creative ecosystem by running sophisticated, multi channel campaigns with custom video and voice outreach that actually gets responses. We actively market the agencies and brands we represent to help them stand out to today's industry's top talent, all backed by real human connection and AI powered targeting. If you're ready for a modern recruitment approach, visit www.comingupllc.com and get started today.
I mean, I think a lot of our success that we're still kind of honestly reaping the benefits from was really in like us creating our own moments, our own IP, our own experiences. That's like, I think, what created this kind of cult following and fandom around the brand that we had built. And a lot of the people that then came to those kind of experiences or um, parties or festivals, and it was something different. It was something, it was like this kind of more creative take on that and bringing in really interesting art and design, and just like we really cared about it, and it kind of built a fandom. And a lot of those fans were people who worked at companies, and just people started hearing about it and wanting us to help them kind of reach this audience that we had you know garnered. And so I think that kind of created this outsized kind of like business development engine, honestly. I mean, we were doing things really scrappy in the beginning, which, worked to our advantage. I'd say like one big moment for us was like we ended up becoming one of Snapchat's first creative agency partners. And that was just because like we were shooting content on like Mark threes and like creating all this digital content for Facebook back in the day when like ad agencies wouldn't touch it. Because they're like, oh, that's small. It's like $15,000. Why would we ever do that? But I mean, we could do that and make a ton of money. Like we were
Yeah.
just, hiring, young kids and shooting it, and we had like an editor in house. We were just making things fast and easy. And so we got these like inroads in with some, legitimate big brands like Samsung and Snapchat to do that kind of work. And, that stuff, as we continued to grow and do the work scaled up. Obviously agencies started to get the wise to that, but kind of we got a little lucky with the timing there, and we're just able to kind of do things at a time when there wasn't a lot of competition, I'd say,
Yeah.
to do that.
Do you have any favorite, top of career events or anything you could share with us that sort of like your favorite of all time?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Our own stuff, I would say, like we did this one. We had this festival called Black, which was basically this meeting point between electronic music and kind of experiential art and lighting design. And we turned it into a pretty big, like 6,000 person kind of festival, multi-day kind of thing. And this one year, 10 years ago in 2015, we had this incredible lineup. So we had like Virgil Abloh was DJing and did an art installation. We had Kasaffelstein playing. We had John Hopkins playing. Just like great lineup and really exciting kind of visual artists as well. And then two things happened. There was like the police started cracking down on warehouses. So it's like this doesn't happen anymore. You can't do a warehouse thing anymore, even though everything's legal. Just like the SLA wouldn't permit it. There were some like blow ups that happened over Halloween. And then the week before the event, the Bataclan massacre happened in Paris. And so it was like these two things happening. Because of those two things, we didn't get our liquor license, and we were also like terrified to do the experience. And we decided to do it for anyway. We didn't serve alcohol, and we threw this like massive event in downtown Brooklyn, and it was great. It was like it was the best event we ever did because it kind of had this like very raw spirit because of what had happened, and also we didn't have the liquor license, and it kind of just made it a free for all. And people still like stop me to this day and be like, that was like a thing that like really inspired me. So that's stuff that I love. I mean, doing something that's just like out there and a little bit, riskier and different that inspires people to think about creative work differently.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal. So that was one of them that really like hit it for me on our own kind of operated stuff. And on the brand side, the Puma global campaign was huge. I mean, that was really the opportunity to work with like global CEO, global CMO, travel all over the world and kind of shoot this huge, moment that I thought had a really good strategy to it. So that was a big one. Um, We also worked on Jay-Z's cannabis brand called Monogram, which was, being able to work with childhood heroes like Jay-Z and Hype Williams, what directed the spot that we did, and did the photography. That was also a career highlight for sure.
Do you go to all the events? Are you hands on still with everything in the company, or do you kind of how does that work?
To an extent, I
Yeah,
would say we generally will have me and Matt will kind of like, and Ned, our president, who started last year, we'll kind of, we'll have our specific projects that we're managing
yeah.
from a high level. So on those, yeah, I mean, still pretty involved in it.
It's interesting that you were telling me about that project when all the things kind of seemed like they could have gone the wrong way with the liquor license and all these different things. I'm always curious, in the experiential space, it's like in these events, like you have to be probably prepared for anything, right? Because anything can kind of happen. You got to be able to kind of turn on a dime and figure something out if need be. Am I right in
Yeah,
thinking that?
experiential is definitely like it's definitely for like crazy people who like either like me who like need like the highest level of cortisol to feel stress, or just like thrive off that like momentum of being in the moment, because like it's basically being like live in 360. Like
Mm,
being live TV, right, is crazy because everything's getting shot, but with an experience you see everything, so it's everything's live and always on, so or everything's on. So yeah, it's something always goes wrong.
yeah,
A lot of things will consistently go wrong. So a lot of it is just like, all right, how are we going to roll with this? How are we going to like turn it? How are we going to make that change work? But like, at the end of the day, and I think this is what, you know, people like a lot of the little things, obviously, we really care about all the little things and kind of obsessed with that kind of stuff. But there's a bigger power that happens at experiences, which is just kind of this like, just like this almost spiritual connectedness and seeing something and the energy in the room, being shared, that kind of like conquers all the like little bullshit, to be honest. So I think you kind of have this like really nice, like, render filter across the experience of just people's, joy and people's kind of energy, inside it. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the most rewarding things because you get to see the fruits of your labor, like in real life, in person.
yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, we got an award, 6 months later, but like you see that like in the moment before, you close the doors. So, I think a lot of people are obsessed with that. I think people really kind of love that, but it's total crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. How do you see technology changing? I know with like generative AI and all kinds of things have really come in full swing. Is that playing a big
Yeah,
part in what's going on at Matt right now?
for sure. I mean, I think the way we're thinking about, I mean, I would say we're constantly thinking about it. We're constantly thinking about it, and it's always kind of being reframed in different ways. You know, for us, it's a complete new set of tools that can do so much interesting work. And we have like an AI artist on staff who's incredible. We have a creative technologist, kind of digital director who's really versed in it, who's been doing it for a long time and just really helping educate the rest of our team on it. So I think first and foremost, I think it's like a new tool set, and we're just trying to like crack that. We've obviously also tried to create some proprietary, workflows through it. I don't think it's really there yet to like really like drive that whole like business transformation. I mean, it will be soon, but like it's just not there yet. And getting a lot of people to like, I think there's just like a big, there's an adoption curve. It's a little bit like slower than the hype curve, but it is transformative in like post production and some of our workflows. And I think it's gonna be really exciting. So, experience is, core to our company, and we do other things as well. But I think it's really gonna increase the value of experience. And I think it's gonna change how brands think about their dollars, um, in such that probably some of the digital content and the stuff that's like, the kind of meat potatoes, I need to do this as a brand, can start to get automated a little bit more.
Yeah,
Obviously craft will always be there at the highest level, but I think so I think that like the optimist in me, I'm an optimist, but the optimist in me is going to be like, they're going to take that dollars and it's going to move towards not necessarily advertising, but how do we kind of build platforms that connect with humans and make us feel, how does connect us and create fandom and affinity. I think that's
Yeah,
going to be done through the stuff that we do, which is experiences. It's about these more interesting, entertainment kind of platforms, docs, things that are really emotionally driven. I don't think that is going to be completely dominated by AI or taken over by AI anytime soon. I actually think the tools of AI will allow us to create experiences that are more crafted and more, really tailored to the individual, which I think is going to be really exciting.
that's cool. How did you find these folks on your team that are AI focused and sort of helping organize all that?
Yeah. So one of them was an artist that we worked with in the past. And because we were kind of doing some stuff in like the NFT, cycle. And Rio, who's this artist, made really great work in that space. And we were kind of working with him on some of that stuff. So he was kind of in the orbit as a collaborator. And then our director, Rye, is just like a young wonder kid. And like we connected on LinkedIn, like completely random job. But I was like, oh yeah, we need someone who's going to help us with like websites and like doing digital things. And then as we've kind of, built together, it's been really focused more now on this kind of like AI and like innovation kind of for the company as well as for our creative team.
That's awesome. As far as a team, in terms of like collaboration, like just in your tech stack as a company, what kind of tools, if you don't mind mentioning, what you guys kind of use to work together?
So we've kind of like over the last few months, we moved everything to Figma. So all deck making, all the kind of collaborative doc stuff is really being done in Figma, which like the fact that Adobe got stopped from buying that. I mean, must be, oh man, that's really gonna. So Figma's amazing. So we use Figma. We're still using Adobe Cloud on most of the things. Obviously, like different kind of people have different workflows, but that's obviously kind of like still core. Premiere is usually the general editing software we use. We're starting to leverage. We've built some kind of like proprietary modules within ChatGPT. So we've been kind of baiting that to kind of create different kind of workflow stuff for our team to, leverage it and, use it well, along with some of the like other kind of, obviously Midjourney, starting to do some of the Sora and kind of the Google video stuff. But yeah, I would say the Figma transformation has probably been the biggest, most obvious one over the last year.
Great. That's something I'm always fascinated about what tools folks are using these days. If you're somebody that, if there's somebody out there that is interested in getting into this particular space or cracking in, you know, how do you, or even like working for a place like Matt, how do you, for somebody who's kind of like an up and comer listening, how would they get your attention?
Me. I really do try to respond to kind of like young, ambitious kids who are trying to get into it because, especially the people who kind of like, if you're a designer, like you kind of like, make great work and people are going to see it and like you're going to get a job or if you're a coder or whatever. But like if you're like a strat producer, creative thinker who has no like, you know, who's kind of like, how do I do this? But those are the people I'm most interested in just because it's my story.
Yeah.
I really tell people to, follow their passion first and foremost. I remember an alumni of Dartmouth worked at Wyden, and right when I graduated, I was trying to figure out this field. I met with him. Uh, his name's Phil Chang. He's a creative director. He has his own agency now, and he was like, "Keep doing what you're doing. The shit that you're doing, you're like your concerts and the kitsune and like that's the stuff that's going to differentiate you, not like, you know, any kind of class or any kind of like, professional thing you could add to your resume. It's really like the ability to bring ideas that kind of cut through and kind of show your own flavor. So I usually tell people that. And then I tell people to, just find like just find that community, that creative community. And that comes through that passion work, I think. And like, you meet people through that and you find like-minded people and like-minded people coming together, create new shit and create opportunities. And so that's really where I think is the most value. And then I always tell people just intern to find out what you don't like, and intern to find out what you do like, if you're able to, even if it's like, and if you got to do it as a side hustle, do it as a side hustle. But like, getting that experience of being in an office and seeing how professionals do the thing and kind of opening up your brain to the different kinds of roles and the different kinds of companies that are doing it. Um, it's like it's an information code that you just have to kind of start to be in it to understand it.
Makes a lot of sense. Like, what's the what do you strive for in culture in terms of that, Matt? Like, is there in terms of like just like you know having everybody be happy and working together? What's sort of the secret sauce?
Yeah, culture is interesting because I think the biggest challenge to a company like ours is like everyone's got their own POV on what culture is, right? Everyone like there's three partners, there's lots of different phases of the company, and obviously also doing kind of culture adjacent work. The word culture is kind of like this, like how do you even like digest it, right?
Yeah,
I think that in terms of like the company culture and like the kind of ideals, I mean, I think we're definitely, I think ambition is super key. So it's people who want to do something great and interesting. We have tenets that we put out, and doing great, not good is an important one. I think also like culture takes risk. That's one that I think is like the most important. And that's like taking risk on people who kind of fit outside the mold, a la those AI kind of mavens that we brought in that do not fit in a traditional structure. And we've kind of always bucked tradition. And so also people who want to do things differently or who, don't really kind of see themselves as outsiders. I think that's been super core to who we are. It's kind of like, a little bit of a motley crew. I would say those are the two those are the two ones that I think are the most important for Matt. But I think it's also people who, you know, have kind of passion maybe adjacent to the work they're doing. So they also are building their own communities through this really great creative work. And we've been fortunate to have like great young people who've come in and have gone off to do incredible shit, whether as a director or as starting their own business or a designer. And that's always like really fulfilling to seeing those people in the world, but still connected to at least, within the orbit of who we are. So kind of building those long-term, relationships is crucial.
yeah. Is there any secret sauce in like keeping people, like retaining people, keeping them happy, keeping them feeling
I would
excited?
say the thing that's always stood out, and it's kind of like a self-perpetuating thing, but like if you find great interesting people, they're going to love working with each other, and the work might be hard and we might be doing too many things and there might be some burnout, but if you are inspired by the people that you're working with and you like them, that goes a long, long way. And that's not some, we're always, trying to figure out ways that we can maintain that kind of ambition and create, some space for people to like not, have their own space and be able to, kind of have a sustainable work-life balance. But I really think that the community aspect of who you're surrounded with and loving those people, I think that's what's been the biggest thing that's kind of driven us forward. And I don't really have a science of how we've done that. I think it's been just, again, like finding the people who have the passion and are interesting and are doing something a little bit different and are a little bit weird. It kind of builds a little organism.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Good people with other good people equals good stuff. So that really makes sense. Yeah, how do you like in terms of like experiential? We do a lot of work in influencer marketing, like theatrical TV streaming.
Hmm.
So we're in a lot of in immersive entertainments. We're in a lot of different places. It seems to me like experiential marketing is like really hot right now. Seems like it's kind of like the thing. It's definitely hot. Do you see? Do you kind of feel that as well on your end? Do you kind of feel like things have been really picking up and there's a lot more interest in what you guys bring to the table than there have been in the past?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think experiential's been crux to our company since the beginning. We kind of built like, again, like kind of defying like tradition. We were like, we don't like, everyone's like, focus, focus, focus. We're like, yeah, we're gonna do everything. And like that's served us well over the long period. It probably, slowed things down in the beginning, but over the long term, it made things more effective, and interesting. But yeah, there's definitely like everyone's talking about it, experiential. There's definitely tailwinds. I mean, it's become a bigger and bigger part of our business. But to me, it's not just experiential. It's an experiential mindset. It's like, how are you creating integrated experiences? How are you connecting experiences to technology now? How are you connecting experiences to larger storytelling? How are you connecting experiences to social and native social kind of storytelling? I think that is really where everything is moving. And that's what I'm really interested in. It's not just, building a big thing and tearing it down. It's like, how are we kind of creating this world that can live on through a myriad of different kind of story forms? So for us, like that mentality of what an experience is all about and what entertainment is kind of like the way forward. And then being able to kind of, connect all the dots around it.
I love it. Well, last little bit of time we got left here, I'd be very interested in learning what you like to do personally outside of work. What kind of stuff makes you tick?
I'm still a huge music guy, and I still love when I saw Airplay on Friday night, and as we were talking earlier, we both have little kids. It becomes harder to do that, but like every time I go out to a show, I'm like, oh god, I got to do this more often. It really is like soup to the soul for me. So I love that. I love reading, I love writing, I love cooking. I had a little
Really?
mini cooking show during COVID,
Nice.
which was I saw a path for me like on the creator front. Like I could have just like left it all behind and just been a single creator and killing it. But it becomes
That's
harder with kids to do the hour and a half kind of like meal prep and video.
totally. Yeah, music is a huge part of my life too, but it's become more of a
I see the
hobby
guitarist.
as I've gotten a little bit older. But I'm a big music fan. Do you have what are kind of your favorite? I mean, you like to listen to?
I'm like all over the place. I will say like my like new shit because I've like usually I've been getting a little like disconnected from the new shit, but I've been like for some reason this year I'm like pretty plugged in. Um, I really love Nourished by Time. Like he is, I think, incredible and like just like this interesting creative who kind of I saw recently play, but I've been a big fan of his for a few years now. And I'm gonna butcher his name, but my brother's name is Elias, and then I found this guy Elias Rodenfeld, who I really like as well. He's been putting out a couple of albums, been working with Dean Blunt, so I'm getting into this kind of like I think live I think live's gonna come back. I mean, I think it's already back. Like the biggest bands right now, like Geese and stuff, are like
I was just gonna
all
say,
these like
are you on the Geese train? Took the words
I
right out of my
haven't like
mouth.
fully gotten on the Geese train, but like I know I will.
All my friends have been like sending me like, Levinson, you got to check this out. These guys are
Yeah,
the
Geese.
best rock band of generation. And Brooklyn Vegans
Everyone's saying
saying they're
it's
great.
incredible.
But I mean, I think it's cool too. I've been watching some of the videos online, and I mean, it's just kind of cool to see like people playing instruments and like big
Yeah,
crowds of excited people, and there definitely is like an energy to them. Like I was listening to them, and I was like, you know, I didn't like, you're not like, at least for me, I'm not like whistling the hook like right after I hear the song, but I know that if I listen to it more, I'm gonna like get it. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those like it's like an album, like it'll grow on you kind of thing. So
I fully agree. Yeah, I mean, I like the live thing. I think is great. Like the rock stuff. Well, it is there's like a bunch, and like I'm gonna put out my playlist through Matt soon, so you can check out
sweet.
my
Yeah,
2025 stuff.
that's great. And what type of books are you interested in reading? Are you fiction, nonfiction guy?
I'm a fiction guy. I'm a fiction guy. Um, I go through phases. I prefer. I mean, I'll always like switch it up, but fiction is definitely more of my happy spot. And I'll kind of take on like a total mix of classic and new stuff and challenging, over stuff and all over the place.
Any favorite shows? Favorite
Show
color? Favorite food?
green hamburgers. I've kept true to that for the last, I mean, shows like Penguin. I thought was the best show last year. Severance. I'm finally on season 2, so now I'm like deep in the Severance game. I'm a little late, but
I'm deep into Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I'm really
really,
yeah. I'm a Trekkie, so that one's like bringing me back to the
I never checked.
yeah. I don't know. I'm into it. I nerd out to that stuff.
That's
It's got
cool.
me hooked. But cool, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on and chatting with us and offering your insights, telling us about everything that's going on in Matt.
For sure.
Yeah, you guys have been popping up on LinkedIn a lot, and I've been seeing stuff you guys have been doing and
Yeah. What was
clicking on
the
things.
if you mind me asking, what was the kind of reason? Like, what was the Well, what about it was interesting for you as, you're in the space?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always really interested in experiential agencies. And we know our recruiting firm works with a lot of them. So I'm always like snooping around and like looking at like, who's hot and what kind of projects are going on. And yeah, you guys stood out, got me interested, and I wanted to talk to you and was able to today. So I really appreciate that.
Well, appreciate you reaching out. Thanks for the chat.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, hopefully we can have a part two in the future. But yeah, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. Bye.